We will go through the workshop. Before we go there, I'll probably share my screen and then try to show you the workshop repository, so that that will help the team, for all of you to go through it. And if at all, in case when I follow through the workshop, if you need any assistance, you can refer to the repository. I hope you are able to see my screen. Please let me know if in case there are any issues.
No, it looks good to me.
Okay, thank you. Paul, have you shared the repo link in the chat window?
I just pasted that link in the chat. In the
Right.
chat window, so like that'll be available to everybody. But I'll paste it in Slack as well in case anyone's looking for it there.
Okay.
Gary just did. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so in this workshop today, we will be mostly looking at three Amazon services: Amazon AppFlow, Athena, and Kickside. I'm sure that most of you might have used these services in the past, and we will be looking at some of the features of these services in this workshop. Now, for those who are not familiar with these services, basically I'll give an intro about what these three services are. Amazon AppFlow is a fully managed Amazon service that basically help us to integrate SaaS applications with for transferring data from external world to Amazon services. So there are few SaaS applications that are currently supported by AppFlow, like Salesforce, Marketo, Slack, ServiceNow, and a few more. From these services, we can connect and then transfer the data into Amazon S3 and also Amazon Redshift. So basically, the idea is the service helps in a very easy no-code interface where you can just do a few clicks and connect these external SaaS applications and then transfer the data to S3 or Amazon Redshift. In terms of the second service, Amazon Athena is a serverless interactive query service, which helps you to query Amazon S3 data in a standard SQL format. Amazon Athena is basically built on top of Apache Presto, so it has got a lot of features, abstracted from Apache Presto. The third service is Amazon Kickside, which is a dashboarding service, which is somewhat similar to the other BI platform that is existing in the industry today, like Power BI of Microsoft and then Tableau and others. So these three services will be having a detailed look at the features, and then in the process we'll try to work with a specific use case. Now, in order to start with the workshop, the primary requirements are basically you should have an AWS account. If you don't have one, you can create from the link given in the repo. And also you need to have a Slack account where, obviously most of us will have a Slack workspace to work with. You can use existing Slack workspace. If you don't have one, you can create one from the link that is given in the repo. So these are all the basic requirements that we need to have to start with the workshop. Now, a little bit about the workshop. So in this workshop, like as I said, we are trying to look at the features of AppFlow, Athena, and Kickside. Now, we are going to address a specific use case scenario here, where we are trying to connect Slack to Amazon AppFlow and then transfer data from Slack to an Amazon S3 data lake. So basically, it's a very easy setup. So we will see that how quickly we can do that. And then once we have the data in S3 data lake, we will create some tables based on the S3 data. We will create we'll create a schema and then try to view the data in a table, in a Athena table. So we'll use Athena for that. And Athena has got some specific requirements where you have to create, there are some S3 objects that you need to create behind the scenes so that Athena can store the result sets of the queries that we run against those tables. And the last phase of this workshop, we will see how Quicksight can be used to access the data from Athena and then build some dashboards which are relevant to the use case that we are going to do today. So I have structured this workshop with respect to a specific use case. Instead of just going through all the messages in Slack, I have picked a specific scenario. The scenario is this. We all know that in Slack we send a lot of automated notifications during the development or deployment phase of a project. So we try to send notifications when a specific team has committed a source code change, or a deployment happened to a specific region, like a QA region, or it's a staging or a pre-production or a production environment. So in all these cases, there will be messages notified to Slack. So in this workshop, we are trying to pick those messages and then transfer those messages to an S3 bucket with the help of Amazon AppFlow, and then finally do some queries on that, and then do some visualization using Kickside. So this is the scenario that we are going to do today. So now, with that as the background, basically we can start with the workshop. Now, we need to make sure that we use the same region for all the resources in this workshop, because of the fact that uh, that will assist in the different services accessing another service. So basically, Amazon Kickside, if it has to access an Athena data source, it has to be in the same region. So for that purpose, please make sure that we use the same region for all these resources. Now, I'll go through the setup directly. So I'll start doing um, uh, as a workshop, and probably you can go through the repo whenever you are stuck with something, or you can send a message so that I can post there and then try to slow down myself so that you can follow through. Okay, so we need to do a few preliminary steps before starting the workshop. So there is specific requirements because of the fact that we are using S3 behind the scene for some of these services. So we need to create a couple of S3 buckets for the purpose of other services that we are using in this workshop. So we need to create two S3 buckets. One is to store the data that we are transferring from Slack. So basically, we are using Amazon AppFlow, where we are transferring data from Slack to S3. So we have to create an S3 bucket for that. And the second S3 bucket is for saving the Athena query results. This is required in behind the scene for Athena, because of the fact that Athena stores all the query results in a S3 bucket. So we need to create that as well. If you want to create this, anyway, it will get prompted when you are trying to run any query in Athena. Now, if you have used Athena already, you will not be prompted for that. That means that you don't need to create this bucket. So for those who have not used Athena before, you need to create this S3 bucket. So let me go and create these three buckets first. I'll just minimize some of these. Okay, all right. So the first one that we are going to create is for using as a data lake for storing the data from Slack. Okay, so we can just give any name for that matter. So we have to choose a region. And then there are other parameters that we need to set in, which are we can follow the default values there. We can set some tags if in case you need. So that's a best practice to use all the tags. Now I'll just create this bucket. And then I'll create another one. This is for Athena results, storing Athena results. So again, you can go with the defaults. Okay, so we have those two buckets created. So one of the things that I have mentioned in a few minutes back is that this particular bucket, which will be used by Athena behind the scenes. So we need to do a specific configuration for Athena. So we need to mention this bucket in Athena settings, so that Athena uses this, whenever we query the S3 table or any other object in Athena. So that needs to be done. So you can go to Athena. You can do it either now, or you can do it when we start using Athena as part of the workshop. So I'll just do that right away. So in Athena, you need to go to settings. You just need to give I've used it before, so I've basically gave the same bucket name here. Now here you have an option to select, so you can do that as well. So that's easier rather than copying it. So, and then you can save this for Athena, saving the query results in Athena. So there is a work group facility here. You can set different work groups in Athena so that you can have different teams working independent of the system. So one team does create a set of tables or database that won't be visible for others. So that's the concept of work group. So we are not going to change that now. So we just updated the S3 bucket that we have created so that we can use that when we use Athena later on. Now we have the preliminary setup ready now. Now the next step is to connect Slack with AppFlow. Now for that, we need to have a Slack app created, because that's how an external application can basically talk to Slack through Slack APIs. So our next step is to create a Slack API. Sorry, it's not Slack API, it's Slack app. So there is a link here that you can use, create a Slack app from here. So you can just click on that, and then it will take you directly to that page. Now, when you're creating a Slack app, you can give any name.
Just to interrupt for a second.
Yeah.
Maybe if everyone can sort of say, like, probably a lot of people haven't yet registered a Slack channel. So maybe we'll give like 5 minutes for people to create their own Slack channel, and we'll just wait. And if sort of when people are ready with that, just sort of let us know in the chat that you're ready, and we'll move on. It takes a couple of minutes. You can set up your own little Slack workspace there, just a nice private one for yourself.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll wait for a few minutes then.
Excuse me, guys. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Roger.
Hello? Oh, thank you. Sorry. I thought my voice wasn't going through. I missed the beginning. Actually, I don't know the purpose yet because I missed the beginning of your class. I just came in minutes ago, and I was trying to figure out as well. So do I need to create a Slack channel? What's the purpose of that?
Yeah,
Sorry for the question.
Okay. So do you have a Slack account?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So then I'm sure that you will have a workspace to install the app as well.
Let me see.
Do
So
you have
I create that from?
workspace?
Okay, let me see. I have to go back to use Slack more often because I used to use a lot and I stopped. I was using other tools. Let me just check it.
Yeah, in fact, in terms of Slack, you haven't missed anything much. So we were trying to create a Slack app here. So you can probably follow the, the repo.
Okay, I'm there actually.
It's there in the chat.
I'm actually there. So create a new workspace. So the workspace, I have my email address there. And I'm just gonna follow through.
Yes, that's correct. So that link will give you what needs to be done to create a workspace.
Sure. After that, just keep watching, you guys, or do I have to do anything else?
After that, you can follow through what I'm doing. So I'll probably pause for some time.
No problem. Sorry for interrupting.
No problem.
A few of us might remember like I still have my Slack workspace from when we had some of the engineers from Slack run one of the meetups. Do you remember that one, Tahan? And we all got like 2
I remember that, yes, it was a long time ago actually. Yes, I remember that. Maybe create a new workspace if possible. Possibly. If you can find the access key for the earlier workspace, then possibly you can reuse that one as well.
Do you have any name that you put in for like, what's the project name or something or anything?
This doesn't matter. So you're just creating your own instance of Slack. So it doesn't matter. It's just for you.
Okay.
Hello, this is Chandira. I am a new name actually. I have a question outside the scope of this particular demo because I went through some use cases about glue crawler and glue service. So I just wondering why you are not considering glue service to this project.
Yeah, are you referring about the glue, Amazon glue?
Yes. So my question is basically like, do we have to use glue service every time we use data lakes, or do we have can we like ignore that, or what is the specialty of glue service?
No, yeah, okay. So in this workshop, there is a specific point in where I can explain where you can use glue, but from the perspective of this use case, we are not using glue. So I can cover that part whenever we reach there.
Thank you.
So there is a question on, so we are making a new workspace in Slack. We really don't need to create a new workspace. If you don't have one, then you need to create one. So otherwise you can install the app into the existing workspace.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I guess most of the people have already have a workspace that they can use. I don't see any responses there.
Maybe if some people can sort of let us know how they're going, so we just get some indication. You can just put like +1 in the chat or something like that. It's not a problem if you need a few more minutes. Just give us a couple. We can totally do that.
Excuse me, Paul.
Yep.
I haven't been having the chance to come and actually watch you guys. I actually today I got it. That's why I came a bit late. Do you record every session?
We just were gifted a Zoom license, which allows us to record the sessions. We used to use a different platform, and Nicola, one of the members, has just encoded and published that. So we're going to update about the last 5 sessions we recorded that we did online late last year. And this one today is also recorded, so that'll be posted up as well.
Oh, okay, because if later you can just tell me where I can actually get those sessions, even today, because I missed the beginning. That's why now I'm a bit kind of floating on the subject, because I want to see where you guys going. I just have to watch a bit.
Yeah, no problem.
Are you guys going to cover like anytime soon something about Kubernetes, more like Docker or things like that?
Look, that's a subject that comes up quite a lot, and as we're a community-based event, we rely on people to volunteer to do a talk. But the more feedback we get from members tells us where we should be focusing our attention. So given that you've said that, and I think it's been quite a while since we've had something, or maybe we haven't even had a real deep dive on Kubernetes, but maybe that's something we could look to do as well.
We did Kubernetes in the past. You can see in the history of our meetups, but I think we can invite again those guys if it is something that people are.
I was watching a guy another day. He was talking. He was doing like a lab. Was interesting. He was putting together Ansible, Terraform, and then he mixing between Docker, just creating a full environment. So he pretty much kind of merged stuff and explained concepts in a way that was very nice to see. Because sometimes when you see one concept in one day is very good, but when you can actually see how they integrate, sometimes give you like a broader vision. So I don't know if you guys, because if any of you are doing that, please tell me, because I'd like to watch. I'd like to do it.
So Roger, 2 things. If you can provide where you watch that, maybe we can bring that person in here.
I'll see if I get. I was actually watching with someone. I'll see if I can get the link, because actually I was at someone's place and the guy was showing me, and it was very interesting. But I could watch half of the thing, but I was super interested, and I need to call him again. Let's see if he can provide me the link. But basically, even if I can't find the exact thing, whatever you guys can produce in terms of mixing these 2 or 3 subjects, because I think, at least on my way to see, maybe Paul, I don't know if Paul agree or disagree, but I think it's super useful for knowledge-wise and actually when you want to have a better understanding.
Yeah, again, Roger, we did the Terraform and Ansible in the past. There is a workshop for it as well. Possibly we can bring that workshop one more time this year.
Cool. No, that's cool.
So we've done both those topics, but didn't record them, unfortunately. You can provide us the link. That also helps. We can reach out to that person and probably bring that one in as well.
I'll try. Are you guys meeting every week or something?
This is every month, second Wednesday of the month.
Okay. Because I must be missing because I've been doing some other stuff, and today I just got the email and I said, my God, maybe they have the stuff every week. I wasn't even aware of.
No.
That's fine.
Once a month. And all our past workshops is in our meetup, Melbourne meetup group. Go through them if you like, and if you have one particular that you're interested in, you can please contact us on Slack or direct email.
Could you type for me on the name on the chat or something so I can actually just see if I can find it now, if you can, please.
Chat. Name of what?
Just the name that you just told me, because I don't think I'm there. This group that you just mentioned.
Oh yeah,
I'm not...
AWS Program Meetup Group. I'll just send it on the chat.
Okay.
There you go.
And thanks you guys for doing that, because I think people should do this more often. It's nice to see people doing stuff together. I don't see much of, because YouTube videos, they're good, but when you see people together setting up something, at least you can ask questions at the same time.
Yeah. That's basically the point, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, we put, both myself and Gary put the link to our meetup group.
I'm just checking here. Thank you.
On the chat, yeah.
Okay, I think probably we'll continue. I'm not sure like if everyone has created the Slack workspace, so I'm assuming that we're all there. So I'll just continue with rest of the workshop.
Yep, kick on. I think it's fine. Yep.
All right, thank you. Okay, so here we are creating a Slack app where you need to give a name for the app, and then you need to select a Slack workspace. So since I have already signed onto a specific workspace, I can see that over here, but otherwise it will be prompting you to sign in. So when you click on it, it will take you to the login screen, and then you need to sign in into the workspace and then come back here. So I've selected a workspace and then just click on create app. So it basically created an app over here. So you can see an app here. You can also go to that app by clicking my apps here, and then that app will be listed over there. Now, once we have the app listed here, we need to collect some information about the app so that we can provide those data into AppFlow, and then AppFlow will be able to connect with the app. So that's the basic idea around what we are looking for next. So for that, you need to click on auth and permission. So there are specific permissions and redirect URLs that you need to be setting up so that whenever an external service trying to connect with the Slack APIs, it can authorize and then give access to only the information that we have permitted to use. So in this case, we'll click on auth and permissions, where you need to set a redirect URL. That's the first step. So in the repository, there is a link that I've given, the redirect URL that we need to use. This is basically the redirect URL from where we are using an AppFlow, which is basically a link on link basically contains the location, so the region, which is AP Southeast 2. So this is what we are going to use across all these services. So we just copy this one and then set the redirect URL. And you save that. And then there are some scopes that we need to set so that the app basically provides access to certain data in Slack. So it's basically access to different user data or Slack channel data that AppFlow is going to access from through basically Slack API. So I have given a list of user scopes that we need to set. So channels history, there are some information about the channels, groups, messages. So we need to set those user groups over here. So we can just need to, unfortunately, type that. For the group, and there is another set which are related to groups. All right. So these are all the permissions that we need to give as a scopes basically, and there are both related scopes as well, but we are not going to use that in our workshop, so we don't need to set them. So basically these are the user token scopes. Now that's related to the settings that we need to do in Slack. And so once we are done with that, we go to the basic information, and then we are going to collect some client ID and secret data from here, and then try to save it so that we can use it when we create a flow in AppFlow. So you need to copy client ID. I'll just save it. Okay, so you just need to copy only those two. So that marks the end of the setup that we need to do in terms of creating a new Slack app and then collecting the app credentials, client ID, and client secret. Okay, so there is a question on where is the auth API endpoint. So that you need to use the region. So this is the endpoint basically related to AppFlow. So you need to use this endpoint with the region. So the region that you are using has to be given in the place of region. So in our case, we are going to use Sydney as the region. So you need to give AP Southeast 2 as the region there. Okay, so that with that we have the client ID and client secret data, and then we have saved it in a notepad. We can save it in a notepad so that we can use it later on. Now the next step is just to install the app. So how do you install the app? Like go to install your app, just click on install to workspace. Then it will ask you permissions on basically requesting access to the workspace. Demo app is requesting permission to access the workspace. So you just need to say hello. So if you have not signed in already, it will ask you to sign in so that you can give access. Okay, so now we have connected. We basically have done all the setup needed on the Slack space. Now, as you know, we are going to read data from a Slack channel. So, you know, we have the workspace. In the workspace, we are going to use general channel as part of our workshop. So basically, you can leave some specific chat messages there so that you can view that in S3 bucket, and also you can query that using Athena. So for the interest of this workshop, I have decided to use a specific scenario. As I said in the beginning of this workshop, we are trying to capture some of the CI/CD pipeline notifications so that we can generate some meaningful charts at the end of the workshop. So for that matter, I've mocked few of the messages. So basically in the repo that you can see that I've just mocked a few messages. So you can, if you want, you can copy these messages or you can type in the similar format because of the fact that we are going to use this data at the end to create a specific table and then create some visualization using Kickside. So like what I have shown in the screenshot here, you can basically copy paste these data there. So, but remember, you have to copy paste as a text. When you just copy and paste this, it will be a rich text. So you need to be mindful of that. So in my case, so I've just pasted some of the messages in my channel. So I just wanted to, I can share that as well. So it will exactly look like what is shown in that screenshot. This is basically, I'm trying to mock some messages. So you can also post some other messages in the channel. So if it's a new workspace, you need to have some messages in there. So I'll just share that window as well. You know what? Okay, so here you can see that I have posted some of the messages in last few days. So just for the testing purpose, and a similar way, I've just posted a similar template here. So it is just for the sake of capturing it at the end and then show an interesting chart in Kickside. So you can have any messages in there. So AppFlow will be able to pull that as part of the process. Okay, so I'll go back to the workshop screen now. All right. Okay. So we have done with all the setup needed from the Slack perspective. We have created an app and then we have set some messages. We have collected the client credentials from there. And then also we have mocked some of the messages in Slack channel, general channel, basically. So there is a reason why I'm referring about general here, because when you create the app flow, you need to specify the channel of that. Okay. So now we'll try to connect Slack with AppFlow and then transfer the data from Slack to an S3 bucket. So that's what we'll do next. So here in AppFlow, you can just type AppFlow here, then it will directly take you to AppFlow console. And in the AppFlow console, you can just click on Create Flow and then give a name for the So I'll just give Slack flow. Okay, so I'll just give same description. And you can in fact use your own keys here. So, but your customer managed keys. So then you need to load those keys into KMS first, and then if you click here, it will allow you to choose those keys. So currently I'm using the AWS managed key. So I'm not specifying that data here. Now, if you want to add any tags, you can add a tags here. So I'll just go with next. And here in the next screen, when you configure a flow, you need to start with an application, which is Slack in this case. And then here you need to create a new connection. So these are some of the test ones that I did yesterday. This connection profile can be used to create CloudFormation templates, so that you can automate the creation of these resources. So when you click on create new connection, so it asks for client ID, client secret, and the workspace. So this is the information that we have collected earlier. So client ID. So you can just pick that wherever you have pasted it. So you can just pick that and paste here, client ID. And then this is my client secret. And then I know this is my channel, sorry, the workspace. So binary.slack.com. And then you can give a name to this, say connection. So this connection will be saved. So if you want to reuse this connection, you can basically select that when you choose a Slack connection. So in the drop down field. So again, this will ask for the permission to access the workspace. So just click on allow, and then the connection is set. Now, once you connect with Slack, basically this gives you a list of objects that you can access from Slack. So if you look at Salesforce as another example, it will give you many objects in here. So in case of Slack, there is only one object, which is conversations, and within that you need to pick a channel. So this is the reason I was saying you need to basically keep messages in a specific channel so that you can retrieve them. So for every channel, you have to create one flow. So in this case, I'm selecting general because that's the channel that I'm interested in. Now the target point, the destination details. So destination is S3. So this is the S3 object that we have created start of this workshop. So here you need to pick the one which we have created for storing the Slack data. And then you can say general just to differentiate. So if you want to create for other channels, then you can use with a different folder name. So it will be structured in a folder way. So there are other settings here where you can specify related to the data format, and then the data transfer preferences. And then you can have folders with timestamps and other structural changes based on the timestamp. So you can set all those. So I'll go with all the defaults. And then the flow trigger can be run on demand or run on flow on a specific schedule. So you can run it weekly, daily, or hourly. So you can select those scenarios if you click on run flow on schedule. So we'll go on run on demand so that we can run whenever we need. So in the next screen, you have to basically map the fields between Slack and the destination, which is Amazon S3. Now, in this case, you can have the same set of field names, what you have in Slack, or you can have your own field names. So there are two ways to do this. One is use direct fields, the same set of fields. You can just map them using the option here, map all fields directly. So these are all the list of fields that are available in that Slack object. And on the S3 side, if you want different names for those fields, you can have a CSV file where you can have source and destination field names, one field per row, and then you can, so that way you can specify different field name for destination S3. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to select the same set of fields. So you can see that all the fields are being mapped with exactly the same name on the destination side as well. Now, in this case, there are other features that we can use. We can basically modify values. We can change, we can add, validations. There are other things like, if you want to have a validation of a specific field, you can say user field. If in case it's missing, then ignore the record. So there are validations that you can do. So we won't use that for this workshop purpose. Now we'll go to next, and here you can add filters. Filters are basically on date or timestamp. So if you have a date or timestamp field in your set of fields that we are trying to transfer, then you can have filters on that. You can say that is, based on the timestamp is between these two and duration, and then you can have filter them out. So you don't need to transfer everything from Slack to S3. So that's the purpose of filter. So in this screen, when you click on next, you will see a summary of what you have selected so far, all the validations, all the names, and your destination S3 bucket, all the details you can review here, and then just create the flow. So when you click on create the flow, it takes few seconds. Yeah, it's already there. So this page basically gives you a summary of what has been created. And since we have selected flow run on demand, we can run the flow now. We can just click on run the flow. It takes a few seconds, and then the time varies based on how many messages that you have in your channel. And the flow basically has a restriction on 100 GB per flow. So if the data that it can transfer is 100 GB per flow. So in my case, there were 15 messages in my general channel. So it has picked all that and then transferred to a S3 bucket here, which we have specified initially. So if you go here, you will be able to see a folder that is created. And within that folder, you will see the file. So this can be saved as a JSON, and then you can view the contents of the file. We're not going to do that here. In fact, we'll use Athena to basically query that S3 bucket. So that's how we can view what is there in the file. Okay, so that marks the end of first section. Basically, we have transferred the data from Slack to an S3 bucket. So we have the data available on Amazon. And then we have to follow through the next steps to query that S3 bucket, and then later on we use the data to visualize it in Quicksight. So that's the next step of workshop. So if you have if you have followed through so far, I presume that you are able to create a app flow and then run it through and then get the S3 bucket populated with the data. So if that is done, and probably we'll move on to the next section of the workshop.
Abdul.
Again. Yeah.
I think we just want another 5 minutes to catch up. Not everybody's at the same level yet.
Okay, all right, no problem.
So just, yeah, Harry already there, but let's give 5 minutes.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just seeing the messages. Yeah, all right. Yeah, there is a message on, there is a document that you can follow. So if you look at the chat, you can see that we have a repo link there. So you can use that to follow the workshop. All right, thanks, Owen.
Hi, just a question.
Yep.
I'm up to the part where in the configure flow, I'm trying to click map all fields directly, but I can't seem to get it to accept it. I don't know if that means it's the map all fields directly is already there or not.
If you click on it, it will populate all the fields down below. So if you see that.
So
Yeah,
I see all the fields like attachments, bot ID, blocks, reply content. Oh, okay, so it's already there. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, that worked.
Yeah.
Next. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, so I presume we all done with the flow part. So if there is anyone needs any help, you can post a message in the chat, and then I can look at that. So otherwise, I would like to move forward with the next part of the workshop. Okay, so the next part, what we'll be doing is we have now the data in S3. We are going to look at Amazon Athena as a service, and then try to query our S3 and create a table that we will further use in Quicksight for generating some charts. Okay, so we'll go to Athena. So again, you can type Athena and then access the service here. Like I said before, if you are accessing Athena for the first time, you'll see a warning message saying that you need to set up a result destination S3 bucket, so that you can either click on that and create it, or if you have done it before, you will not get that warning message. So in my case, I've already done that. And we have also said this thing earlier. So those who have not done that, you need to set the S3 bucket here, which is the bucket that basically uses to store the query results by Athena. So this is a must. You know, if you don't create this, queries won't work. So again, you will get an error there. So now, in this case, what we are trying to do is we are trying to create a database and then a table, and then try to query the data in S3. So that's what we will be doing here. So there are now, as you know, that when we are trying to create a table, it needs a structure. So basically, it needs a schema. Now, we in our workshop, we are going to basically create a small table with very few number of fields. So we are going to do that in a manual way, where we just specify only a couple of fields and then create the table. Now, in the real application scenario, in real world scenario, you can in fact use glue here. You can create the table in two ways. One is S3 bucket data. One is from S3 bucket data or from glue crawler. So you can set up a crawler as part of this itself. It is tightly integrated with Athena. So you just click on it and then it will take you through the glue crawler wizard, where you can specify the crawler related data. You can specify the S3 bucket, and then it will automatically create the data catalog for you based on the data which is there in the S3. So it basically identifies the data structure with the help of some of the predefined classifiers, and then creates the data catalog. Now, in our case, we are not going to use that path. We will directly create it from the S3 bucket. We'll manually specify the field names, because we also need only a few fields in there. So from S3, you can just say create table from S3 bucket data. So in the next screen, you will be prompted to give some details about the table that you are going to create. Now here you can create a new database. So I'll just say Slack DB, a Slack table. And then here, we need to specify the S3 bucket where we have our data. So that's the one which we are using as a data lake, collected, the data collected from Slack. So we can go back and look at the name if I've created the same thing. So just use this. So you have to use the one which you have created, whatever name. Since it's unique, you might have a different name for this S3 bucket. Okay, so here you have basically given the S3 bucket where you have the input data, and then just click next. Okay, you need a slash there, so that's a mandate. So otherwise it's giving an error. So you can just give a slash at the end. Now you can specify the data format, which is JSON in our case. And then, as I said, we will specify 3 columns. Like earlier we have seen, if you go back to AppFlow, you can see the fields over here. So I'm interested in not all these fields. Okay, so I'm only interested in a few things. So if you go to second screen, you'll see that I'm interested in the message. I'm interested in the user, and I'm also interested in the timestamp. So I'll pick only those fields here and then just create a table. So I don't need all the details. So I've just done it once today. So I have all the fields pre-populated. Okay, it's a timestamp. So you need to give the type of the field as well. So as I said before, this can be done in an automated way. You can just use Glue to create the data catalog. And in the next screen, you have provision to create partitions. So suppose if you don't want, if you're working with a large amount of data, you don't want the entire data to be created in one table, then you can have partitions, and where you can specify things like, I want a set of data like based on a specific date, and then create a different partition. So that way you can create if you have too much data. Otherwise, because that will help when you try to query the Athena using Athena. So if you have too much data, the cost that you pay is based on the amount of data scanned. So that way you can make those decisions based on the data available in your use case. So I'm just clicking on create table. So it just created me a Slack underscore table. So you can see the query as well here. And now you can write okay, so if you just write a simple query, select query, you will see the data what we have transferred from Slack and over here. So now here, as I said before, instead of going and looking at the S3 file there, downloading and looking at the JSON file, you can just view it here. And you can also download it here. There is a option to get the file in CSV format. So that's a basic query feature here. Now, for our demonstration purpose at the end, with respect to the Kickside charts, we, as I said before, we have a specific use case. So here, what we need to do is we are going to create a new table with some specific new data fields so that we can do a visualization in Kickside. So here I'm more interested in the data which is there in the text field, which is a set of messages here. So you can write your own query to create new field structures based on the data here. So in the workshop repo, basically I have given a query that you can use. You can just copy that. You can write your own query as well, because there is an option to write specific queries. You can have SQL templates. So you can say SQL table as select. So it basically creates your structure for you, or you can just paste what is given in the workshop repo. So this one creates a new table. So, okay, you can give any name for that matter. So Slack table is the original table that we have just created, and from that it's going to create a new table. And I'm more interested in the messages that posted into Slack, which are starting with deploy. So this is a small SQL where I'm only picking the data which is notified as part of the CI/CD pipeline. So I'm ignoring the rest of the things. So when you run this query, it's going to create that table, the Slack underscore table underscore analysis. All right, so you can again run a basic query to get just to view. Okay, so this has created a new structure where basically I have used the data in the text field and created other two new fields, which is basically indicating the status of specific deployment that happened in different environments like staging and production. So it's a very sample and simple use case. It can be any other use case based on your business requirements. Okay, so we have created a new table now. Now, in the next step, what we are going to do is we are going to use this table and create some visualizations. I'll pause for some time here just to make sure that everyone else is able to follow me. And once we are having some sort of notifications from everyone, I'll go to the next section of the workshop. Or if you have done with this, you can probably notify in the chat, and then I can move on to the next one. Okay, I'll probably move on. So I don't see any messages in the chat. So I'll probably move on to the next phase of the demo. So as we have seen, we have just created a Slack table analysis table, and then we will use that table in the next phase in Quicksight. Now, in case of Quicksight, if you have not used Quicksight before, you need to set up Quicksight. So when you access Quicksight from the console menu, so you just type Quicksight. If you're a first-time user, it will take you to a sign up page. So there are some instructions over here that you need to follow. Since I have created the account first time, it will directly take me to the Quicksight console. So for all others, if you have not used Quicksight before, you basically need to do a sign up. So when you are doing sign up, you can use standard as the plan. That's good enough for today's workshop. So here probably I'll wait for some time. There's a question around Kickside have a heat map. So there are different charts available in there. So once we go there, probably we can look through. I haven't looked at whether heat maps are there, but I am sure that there are different set of types of charts and reports available in Kickside, especially in the enterprise plan. So if you look at enterprise plan, it has even got the insights. So basically based on the queries that you make, the graphs that you prepare, it has a recommendation engine where it uses machine learning to give you more insights about your data. So that's only available in the enterprise edition. Can you extend the storage in Quicksight for more than 1 GB? The way Quicksight works, Quicksight has got an engine behind the scene, a calculation engine, which is called Spice. Spice has got specific storage limitations based on a specific region. So if you look at the standard plan, you see the data that it can process is 10 GB. So in the Spice, you can only get a storage for 10 GB. So you can't get more than that in the standard plan. I'm not sure about the enterprise plan. I haven't used that before. So maybe that is something that we need to look up in the available quota or the restrictions that is set by limits that is set by Amazon. So I'm not sure about that completely. Okay, so I'll move on to the next one. Yeah, I think Paul has got some information around that. So Chandra can follow up on that. There is a detailed link as well. So you can probably go through that and get more details on your question. Is the basic version of Kickside free of charge? Kickside has got, as I said, there is a standard plan that you sign up. So that's the first option that you have. It has got a charge based on the number of users. So if you have one author, basically it charges, I think, $9 per month, something like that. So it has got, again, the storage limits attached to that. Okay, so I presume that you have created a Kickside account and then you are on the Kickside console. So that's where here to open Kickside, just to go to Kickside. So I'm presuming that everyone is through that this step. Now I'll go to Kickside console. In the Kickside, what we will be doing is that we are trying to visualize the data that we have just created in a new table in Athena. So as you can see here in Kickside, there is an analysis section, there is a data set section where you connect to different data sources and then do the analysis. Now here in, before we try to do the real analysis, you need to do some access permissions, because Kickside needs to have the settings enabled for accessing other AWS services. So for that, you can click on your profile icon and then go to manage Kickside, and then click on security and permissions. There you can see the other AWS services that Kickside can have access to. So here you click on add or remove. And in the next screen, you can see the services that you need to give specific access permissions to. So Kickside needs that. So in our case, we need to select Amazon S3 and Athena. So that's one of the explicit access permissions here is that Kickside basically needs access to we need to explicitly give the access to the S3 buckets that Athena is using. So that doesn't come as part of Athena access. So if you give access to Athena, still it doesn't work. You need to basically give access to the underlying S3 buckets. So when you click on here, I've already given access. So when you click on here on Amazon Athena, it gives you a suggestion that you need to give access to the S3 buckets. So, and it pops up a list of S3 buckets that are available. So as you can see here, we need to give access to the buckets that we have created for Athena as well. So we'll go back and look at it. So we have created the one which is the data lake that we have created in the start. And then there is another one which is related to saving the Athena results. Okay, so I'll just select them, and then it's already selected because I've already used it before with the same name. So these are all the two ones, and this is an old one which I don't need to give access to. And this one gets created by default when you try to connect Kickside and Athena for the first time. So since I've used it already, this bucket will be created behind the scene. So you don't need to create them, but that will have the default access permissions as well. So you need to select these ones and then say finish. All right. So even when you go to here, if you uncheck this, you lose all the access. Then again, you will have to give that. So this is, I'll just make sure that I'm selecting the right name. All right. Okay, now here, what we are giving access here is the right permission to Athena work group. As I said earlier, Athena's got work groups to segregate between different teams in an organization. So you need to give right permission to those groups. So then only it can actually write data into this one. So this is by default, it doesn't come with the explicit access. So you need to basically specify the access. I just clicked on those ones. Okay, sorry. All right. Let's see. Slack one. Okay, I just said yes, and then say update. Takes few seconds. Okay, so once that is done, you can go back to the main screen, the dashboard screen, and then you can click on data sets. So now we're going to connect Kickside with Athena. So you select Athena here, you can give a specific any name, or here you have only one work group, so you don't need to select that. Okay, so and this screen, basically it will prompt you with the database that you have in Athena, so Slack_DB, and then again it will show you the tables that we have created. So we'll select the second one. That's the one that we have custom created from the original table. So as I said, there is a Spice engine that works behind the scenes. So you can either use Spice, or you can directly run SQLs against your table. Now, Spice makes it faster if you have too much data, because it's a in-memory fast calculation engine. Now, we won't look at the directory option here. So we'll just say import to Spice and then visualize. So it will, if there are no issues with the access permissions, it will take you to the visualize screen, where you will basically see the data that is imported here. So you can see that 13 rows were imported to Spice. So I had 13 messages. So now you see the fields that were part of the table. So you can use this table. So there's a very interesting feature, which is autograph. So based on the data that you drag into this structure, the graph, and then you see an automated graph. It basically decides its own what chart can be populated for this specific data. So there are many others. So I'm not going to go through the details of all of these charts. So the one which I am interested in is a vertical chart, where I want to show basically on a daily basis, what's the deployment frequency. So this chart has taken the data from the Slack messages, and then plotted those for different dates. So I had data for all the 4 days in the past. So based on that, it has plotted for different environment how many number of deployments were done. So the same way you can have on the status, like whether it's failed or success, and you can also have different other possibilities over here. So this is just to demonstrate that the data from the Slack can be brought in here, and then you can do some interesting visualizations. So that marks the end of this workshop. Now, if there are any questions on this part, or if you have not reached on this screen, and then if there are any issues, I can address that. So please let me know in the chat. Yeah, there is a question on is the Kickside dashboard auto refreshed? You can in fact set your data set to be auto refreshed. So the screen that we were looking at earlier, the data set screen, where you can specify to have a specific schedule to refresh. So the minimum one is hourly refresh. So you can have the data to be refreshed on an hourly rate as well. So we haven't chosen that option. We were just doing a manual refresh. So the data gets refreshed based on the schedule. So it's possible to refresh. So once you refresh the data, when you click on anytime you go to the dashboard, it will automatically refresh the charts as well based on the data that is available.
Thank you.
No problem. Can we embed? Yes. So there is a feature, embedded analytics feature available in Kickside. You can in fact embed the entire Kickside dashboard in your application. Yes, it's possible. I got no data was found in Visual. Okay. So can you please see, if you have exported any data, imported any data as part of your data set refresh? So you can check if you have got anything over here. So it basically gives you a status of how many records, how many rows have been imported to Spice. So if you are seeing that, so then you need to go back to Athena and see whether you have any data in that table, Slack table analysis. So were you able to see any data in Athena? So that's a thing
Yeah,
that
I'm checking Athena right now.
yeah. So you can run a basic query there, like select star.
From select data analysis. Select. Zero records returned.
Yeah, so that means in your channel, there were no specific deployment related messages. Like as I said in the beginning, you need to have those messages in your Slack channel.
Because I put the messages in the Slack channel, but it's not appearing. Maybe it didn't flow right. If I run the AppFlow,
yeah,
will that refresh the deploy this, deploy that? Or do I have to enter deploy as in
so
each message is a different line?
Yeah, before we go there, are you able to see any data in the original table, which is Slack table? Do you have any data there?
Slack DB.
Yeah, we have created two tables, right? The first table, you can look at the first table and see if you have any data there.
Slack data.
The first,
yeah, I've got data in my original table.
So can you tell me how does that look like? What is the text message?
So the deploy is showing up as one message.
Yeah, I think Paul has a suggestion here. Yeah, if you have copy pasted the data directly, and then it will be a rich text, and then it will not match, and the query won't work.
Okay, so I have to do one by one then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I did the same thing, and I copied and pasted the whole block, and it put like the talking marks in front when you try to do a code embed.
Yeah.
So the query didn't work properly.
Yeah.
So you might need to drop that analysis table and recreate it as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So when you are even one line, if you're copying, you need to make sure that you're pasting it as a text message, not as a rich text, because yeah. So even single line, you can have that issue.
So no asterisks?
No, when you paste it, you can probably paste it into a text pad or something, and then put it back to.
I think what Stephanie asked is, yes, we want the asterisks, but what Abdul is saying is you need to copy and paste one line at a time like that.
Okay.
Make sure there's no formatting. So I copied it into VS Code, deleted any formatting that came across, then copied it across line by line as a new message.
So I have to drop the Slack data and Slack data analysis tables again, right?
Yes.
No, just the analysis table, drop that, then run the AppFlow to re-import it, and then recreate that table, which queries all the data back in.
Okay.
You need to drop the Slack table, because the Slack table analysis is derived from Slack table.
Yeah, but you don't need to drop the Slack table, because if you rerun AppFlow, it'll repopulate the table. The existing data will be there, but your query's not picking it up anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Okay. Yeah, there is another suggestion there. You can, basically you need to get rid of the rich text content in from there.
Well, what I might do at this point now is, like, people are more than welcome to hang around, and Abdul can answer your questions, and I can answer questions, whatever. But we'll thank Abdul for his presentation today. It was really great. It's the first time I personally have used AppFlow, so I think it was like something different, and we got to explore a couple of different services in a nice, simple sort of use case.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks from me, and thanks for everyone at AWS Programming Tools. And we'd love to have you back in the future. And thanks for everybody that's come along, and for your suggestions for future and possible events. And if anybody would like to present in the future, like, reach out to us. And everyone should make an effort to join the Slack channel. Like, we're on there, we chat, we answer and ask questions in there, and look forward for what happens later in this year. For the meantime, it'll be online. We'll see how that changes. And thanks a lot, Abdul. And Dahan, did you want to say anything while we're signing off?
No, actually, yes. Thank you very much, Abdul. That was very, very interesting. I was hoping to get my hands on this AppFlow. I guess it's been recently introduced, or very recent at least. But thank you very much for joining us. Tell your friends and everybody else we are here to do hands-on work. We are not going to do presentations. This is our motto. And next month we are already in preparation to set up a workshop with a DynamoDB content. The person who's going to give us a workshop is going to be from US, hopefully, if we can organize. And he has actually written a book on DynamoDB recently. So we try to keep the quality of our presenters high as much as possible. If you have any other requests, please let us know, and we'll try to provide that content to you as well. One more time, thank you very much for coming. Please join to Slack channel. You can find the Slack link on the Meetup group information site. And hope to see you next month, second Wednesday of February. Thanks, Paul, for organizing, and Abdul for hosting. It was very, very enjoyable. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Thanks again, Abdul, and thanks everyone for coming. So I'm going to just stop the recording now.
Yeah.